Hi guys, I picked up this treadmill for $50 and this is the original person showing it. You can see how dirty it is. Not that they're, it's probably been out in the shed somewhere. So from this, we're going to turn it into a usable treadmill. $50 to use a fully functional treadmill. It's 510 mil. Not sure what that would be in inches and that for Americans, but if you convert it on Google you should get the right size. Not sure what the length of the actual belt is, but I'd say they're pretty well standard, the standard length. And I'm going to try and fit this. This one came off a Nordic track. This isn't a Nordic track, but it'll do the job. So we'll be able to get this going again. And you'll see at the front, this was had all clumps of silicone on it, and it was dirty, and all in here that was all dirty as well. It's not now, I've cleaned it, but yeah, the amount of cleaning I had to do last night was unbelievable just to get it to clean up. So if you look close enough, you'll see all the dirt sitting behind bits and pieces. Well, the whole thing looked like that. So if you see a $50 motor, the motor alone would be worth $50, and the other motor would be worth $50 as well. And the speed controller, well, that would be worth its weight in gold. There's a transformer over there, so I wasn't going to lose on it. I might not have made it perfectly, money wise, but you can see the dirt coming off there. I've cleaned it as much as I can, but now I'm going to pop it back together again. I'll probably get some sort of polish and polish up these rails. Pretty solid build. It lifts up at the back, and what I'm going to do is put this on a stand, and we'll see what happens when I'm putting it back together again, and you guys can watch it. So we've got to replace a bolt here. We have to replace the clips on either side, which I've taken off, and then we've got to put the board in, which goes underneath. Oh, actually the board goes inside, and then once we put the board in, we put the board in between the two mats, and then we're going to put our bolt back in there at the front, because that's the only one that I've taken out, because the other end's on the motor. And then we'll put the side rails back on. So it's pretty much a reverse of what I did when I started off, but I didn't do it last night. It was too dark, and I thought, well, no one's going to be interested in this. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe someone might be a little bit interested in it. That might need a little bit. Oh, there you go. There's you right there. There's a bit of hard-on grease. Just got it off, and there's probably more of it there, so I'm going to have to give that a good clean. A bit more of a clean to get it off. But that stuff was probably half their problem, why this thing wasn't doing what it was meant to do, which was, you can feel it. So I'll get a light sand and sand that off. If you're going to sand it, you're going to have to get 800 grit or more, 1200 grit, just to give it a light sand. Don't take the paint off if you can. And that's about it.
So it doesn't last long.
I've over-tightened the left-hand side of my device, so I need to undo that. It's too tight. Just got to find where I put that screwdriver and I'll be right. It's under there. That should be enough. Okay, that should do it. Now we make sure that you're actually, once you put this on, that it's not going on an angle. I haven't worn a mask. Big mistake. Should have worn a mask. This stuff is like not good for your lungs. It gets in you. But don't use. You need to use a mask. Not like me. Don't be me. Get a mask. No. Clean off any marks you can see. Get a mask and do a little bit more of it. Boys. Make sure the cutouts are at the front, not at the back. one cut out, and that's the only thing you have to worry about, the one near the motor. Try and centralise it and then get the steel bit back on. Either way is fine, whichever way you want to do that belt. So that's nice, tight at the moment. It's not going to need much tension on a new belt, but over a couple of weeks you need to keep an eye on it and then fix it when you need to. Now we'll get these nuts back in. Don't tighten them up all the way. You want to get as many in as you can before you tighten it totally, because you might have it misaligned. You might not, but you might. And then over tighten. And that's why you don't over tighten it, because the other side wasn't aligned properly. Now you can tighten them all up. If you want to do it, you can do it opposite sides if you feel like it. And then the centres. We need to put our 2 big bolts back in. You can get a wire brush and give them a quick clean if you want to, get rid of some of the rubbish off them. So, the wire brush here somewhere. Or, probably a better idea, don't use a wire brush, use a brush. Because I've got a wire brush over there. A normal brush will do the same job, but it won't rust the bolts up in the long run. And you can use a small amount of WD-40 on these 2 bolts. Just give them a clean. Hopefully that will make it easier for it to run through the WD-40. I'm so happy with the rebuild of this. It's actually looking very good. I might have to lift that a bit. You might have to align it a bit so you don't cross-thread your screws. I see someone else has done the same thing here. I might need a little hammer and tap it in. Then you'll have to lift it, get it in the right spot. It's out a little bit. Still not happy with that. I'll give it a tap inside until you get exactly right. And that should be about it. You might have to turn that a little bit. You're going to have something to hold that up. A little tiny bit more. I don't want it too much. And you don't want to cross set it. Whatever you do, if it feels like it's not going in right, it's not turning that, then it's not straight to screw it in. But if it's just going in like that, and you put no effort on it, then that's good. Try and get it just into the hole on the other side. That's just in, and you can see here where it originally was. So if it's an older version, you might find that it's worn on one area, and you'll be able to get it in that position to get it right. So you need a big screwdriver to lift it. You can see right there, it's not exactly right. So what you're doing when you're turning it slowly, you're adjusting that thread to turn into position, hopefully. interesting thing. Move it over a teeny bit. Okay. So as long as you've got it in that hole over here, adjusting it from the other side shouldn't be a big problem. So if you go in reverse, sometimes you can find that thread and then go forward. And that thread's not wanting to go in. I'm not going to force it. Have a look at it. We'll take it out and have a quick look, because I'm not going to cross thread this thread because I don't have another one. You see right at the end, it's, if you've just screwed it in a teeny bit and it's starting to cross thread, you're going to get a bit of wear on it, and you don't want that at all, otherwise you're going to stuff up the connection. So anyway, I'll try and put a bit of lubrication on the end of this and see if I can thread it through a little bit easier. I think I'm going to get it. Everything's good. You need to lift it higher if you're feeling it's not going through properly. You need to get the hole right. Okay, there's a thread in the hole. Now this is where it becomes a little bit harder, because you've got to try and get this belt to line up on both sides. So you're going to have to try and get these two at the same distance. So at the moment, I'm using my hex screwdriver. I can almost put my hex screwdriver in there. On that side, you can. So that needs to be turned out just a little bit. And get that hex screwdriver in there. There's a measurement tool. That's that. And that does the same there. So now we'll do 5 turns each side until we get it nice and tight. But we want this to be able to be filled underneath. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 half turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A bit because I missed the first bit because I slipped off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do another 5 turns over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another 5, and we'll see how we're going. So that's getting really tight now. 1, 2. We'll go 2s now. 1, 2. What is that? How much? Now you feel underneath, and that feels pretty tight to me. I don't think I'm going to need to tighten it up anymore at the moment until I walk on it. Now I haven't got the power cable down here, so I'm going to walk on it up in the gym room. And first thing I've got to do is I've got to put the connectors on the front here, which are these two here. They're starting to rust up. I think these are a furniture type thing, so they'd be facing out that way. So a couple of these little screws will do the job, or they, let's have a look, quick check. No, I don't think they're those ones. Anyway, let's get these on. One goes that way. So while we're putting this in, this is your DC motor, controlled by controlling the belt. So it's a good DC motor there. There is a tilt motor with the shocky, so it can push it up and down. And this board here is the control board, power board, and it comes off a 15 volt transformer there. So if your machine doesn't have that information on it, it's quite easy to find it out by looking on the internet and find that information out. I just know it, so that's good. Well, let's screw these in. Nice and neat. I don't over tighten because I don't want to strip them off. They're nice and tight. If I do need to tighten them up any more than they are, I'll just get a hand screwdriver and do that last bit. The reason is I don't want them to break or stuff up or any of that type of thing. I've just noticed that that's bent, or maybe it's meant to be bent, but I think I now know where this clip came from that I was looking for before. And that will go on like that. That's pretty much it. So these clips are here for the cover at the front. These are the locking devices for the actual side rails that you have to put on last. If you're getting something out of this, can you please, I don't know, like and subscribe if you feel like it. Takes 10 seconds to do a like, maybe. Helps me out. I don't get much out of this at all, and that's literal. But I enjoy doing it. It's just, the thing I get out of it is not just because helping others, it's actually that we're passing on knowledge to other people in the future of how to repair things, and we're not the type of people that are not telling people how to fix it. And I get a bit of a buzz when someone comments, and I feel all excited and happy because you guys make my day. So yeah, we've got 2 of these. And run up through here. There's a little slot that it goes on, and it slides straight up there because I've got all stuff on it, and it stops there. So that's all good. We'll do the other one. You thought there was a clip that goes on it, but it doesn't. Just stops it. So pop the other one on. We'll leave the backs off. This was the one that was most dirtiest. see that that's needs a bit of work there. Be able to, that's just the plastic underneath it. If you look after these things, they'll go forever nearly. Well, till the electronics of the motor dies, but they'll go for a fair while. Now we'll put the cover on the front. These two go on the back. I'm not putting them on at the moment because I might need to adjust them, although I might just leave them sitting on the back and lightly screw them in. This one's missing a couple of its plastic bits. Someone's broken them off, which is a pity. I'm going to have to keep my eye out for another one. So that's how that goes. And then all we do is pop this back on the front. Now those belts are very expensive, so if you can reuse the old one, try and use it. So we've got missing one bracket there, which is somewhere in here it should be. I'd say it'd be underneath. I'll roll it back. Try to roll it back and have a quick look. And then I'll finish doing that. And then we'll get up to the house and have a look. Okay. I couldn't find these clips which come with the machine. There's one missing, probably lost when it was first put in. While we're here, well, you can't see it anyway, I'll show you in a second. I'm just going to use a piece of wood, a bit of glue, plastic glue, to glue it onto the back. So I just cut that down to the right size and just glue it to the back of that. Well, actually, I'll just glue it. Yeah, I'll just glue it here and cut that off, so I don't have to have any extra. So I'm just going to clean it up with a pair of side cutters. Well, you can see that. There you go, side cutters. I'm going to clean it up with a bit of side cutters and make it nice and neat. Now I'm going to glue it onto here. Probably leave a teeny bit over either side. That's a nice piece already cut. I'll glue that in behind there and that'll hold it. And drill a little hole in it to get it to go in. So the glue's starting to melt. Put a bit of glue in the front. Get that in there, like so. Glue, a bit of glue on top. Try not to burn your hands. And then once it's dry, we'll drill a small hole into it with the cover on, and drill out and put our self-tapping screw in. If you can get a bit in behind it, it'll stop it from going backwards. So that's not going to go anywhere. And that's it, and we just drill a hole into it with the cover on. Beautiful spring day here in Australia. Middle of 2020. Not a great year for everyone, but yeah, we're getting through it. Getting through the year as we can. So tickle on my throat, hopefully it's nothing important. Bad. So drill in and screw in all the other ones around it and then do the drilling. So you've got it lined up with the others. So we'll put all the screws in. We'll come out. We'll pop all the screws into all the other spots, one there, two on the sides, and then we'll drill that hole. And that way we're not going to get the wrong size hole like I just did there, it wasn't lined up. So that's going in there. It's nice and tight there. We'll get the other side. We get the front, and we'll drill our holes in. We'll have to lift it and get the other two screws, which you have to do to lift the front. Get the front screws, which if you're pulling it apart, that's the first thing you've got to do. So if you're watching this, in the future, you should work backwards. So that clips in nice and neat, it's square with the kickboard. There you go. You've got to get them right. It doesn't work. So we just have to lift it up now, lock it in position. As long as your spring's working, you'll be right. And just lock her up. I couldn't lock it up before because the spring wasn't working properly. Now it is. And now I can get these front two screws in and then drill me hole and I'm finished.